If I could give creators one piece of advice when starting out, it would be this: create spec work. Now, what is spec work? Spec work is essentially unpaid work created and funded by the creator for the sole purpose of showing off their skill set. For instance, if I wanted to work with a brand like Nike, I would create a fake Nike commercial to show brands my skill set in that area. That way, when brands like Nike came looking around for content creators, they could see my work and see that I'm capable of creating something they're looking for. To give you some context, back when I first started creating content back in 2020, I had no fitness content on my portfolio. I had some photography, but that was about it. So I grabbed one of my friends. She had just started CrossFit, and we threw together a quick fitness style video, and it was terrible looking back on it. But at the time, I think it adequately showed my skill set. And that one video actually went on to land me my first production job out of college, which ended up being the best decision I could ever have made. So that's where we get to the main point of this video. This past year, I wanted to add some more fitness related content to my portfolio. I wanted some content that I could call mine. Now, I worked for a large corporation, but I couldn't just take the content I made for them and call it my own. So again, I had to create some spec work. So I reached out to my buddy Luke. Luke is a CrossFit Games athlete and a good friend of mine. We actually worked close together while I was with Mayhem, and I filmed a lot of narrative content about him and his journey to the CrossFit Games. He also happened to be sponsored by First Form Nutrition, so I pitched him the idea of creating a spec piece around him and First Form. And of course, he was completely down. Now, if you want to see the final result first, go ahead and skip to the end, but now I'm going to dive into the production. So let's talk about my gear first. I shot everything on the Sony FX3. I feel like it doesn't really need an introduction anymore. I've taken this camera all over the world. It's just a workhorse. It's small, versatile, and most importantly, the image quality is amazing. For lenses, I used primarily the Sigma 24-70. Now I hardly take this lens off my camera. It's just so versatile for the type of run and gun shooting I do. I did use a 35 for one scene where I needed a little more light, but besides that, it was all 24-70. And that's pretty much it. I shot everything in S-Log3, 10-bit 422, and then colored with one of my LUTs in post. So first we started out with an interview, and there's no right or wrong way of doing voiceovers. I've done the pre-written voiceovers in the past, which is fine. I just feel like I get a more natural response if I actually sit down with my talent and ask them a series of leading questions. To me, that sounds less scripted and it sounds more natural. Again, no right or wrong way of doing things, but for this specific project, I wanted it to feel more like a short form narrative piece. Now, I actually didn't know whether or not I wanted to include the footage of Luke's interview in the final piece, so I kept things relatively simple. So for the lighting setup, I set Luke by a window, and then I added in a key light motivated by the light coming through the window. And I shot the whole thing at 70 millimeters. I knew I wanted the overall feel of this piece to be tense and chaotic, and I felt like shooting at a longer focal length closer up kind of conveyed that up close tension rather than shooting something wide. So one camera, nothing crazy lighting wise, but overall I was fairly pleased with the image. So after interviewing Luke, we planned on shooting everything in one day. And we started off with this morning scene, just him getting ready for the day. I was going to blast a light through his window to fake that morning sunlight, but we were actually there early enough and the sun was low enough in the sky to where I was able to use only natural light. Shot-wise, I wanted to show progression. Even in a short 1-minute video, you can tell a story, and it doesn't have to be complicated. It can literally be wake up, get ready for the day, do your day, end your day. very simple, but it still shows progression, and that's technically a story, and the viewer will subconsciously realize that throughout the course of the video. Yeah, just like that. So actually, yeah, that one. So I'm gonna frame you up, just like this. Okay, then we cut directly to the gym scenes, and this is where we got to be a little more creative. The first scene was here in this locker room. I wanted to get Luke using the products before his training session. So we turned off the house lights, and to light this scene, I used one of my Lume Cube light tubes on a C-stand right above him and out of frame. Now, I absolutely love these things, and if you follow me on Instagram, you've probably seen me use these things a lot. They're just so versatile, you can stick them anywhere, and the light quality is phenomenal. I'm gonna have you sitting here, and same thing like we did this morning, you're gonna take a scoop out, put it in your protein shaker, shake it, take a sip, and then I'm gonna get you like taping your thumbs, and it'll be like sexy, sexy, top-down lighting, dramatic, moody. You know the deal. Nice. All right. Same thing down, and then up. Okay, so you'll have it like this, okay. Like logo out like this. Unscrew. Take the logo out, and then we'll cut. And then I'm gonna cut to the shaker, like right here. Lid off. And then you'll just boop, 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 knock it into the shaker. Yep. Perfect. Ooh, that's good. Okay, so then we transitioned to the gym, and the facility where we filmed had these big bay doors and these windows like super high up, and the natural light was fine, but I wanted more control of the light spilling in. So we actually blacked out all of the windows. And my buddy Brendan was actually kind enough to come film some BTS, and he helped me black out these windows. So we went to Harbor Freight and we bought some moving blankets. They were super cheap and they actually worked phenomenally. There's this account called Shitty Rigs, and it's like an account dedicated to like makeshift lighting setups, makeshift camera rigs. Oh yes, perfect. It's perfect. Perfect. Also, I'm using duct tape, which is not an industry standard. So, my only regret is finding a better way of keeping them secure. It was pretty windy out, and every 15 minutes, one of the blankets would fly off. So Brendan would have to go back out and retape them as we paused shooting. But when you're low budget like this for spec work, you don't always have the budget to, buy official film production, film industry standard things. And so sometimes you just have to make it work. And this was one of those occasions. Like, yeah, we're gonna use duct tape and moving blankets, but at the end of the day, the light's not coming in.
Dirty dog.
You dog.
You have scissors or something?
Now, if you're in the actual film industry, this next part is gonna make you cringe again. But I actually used these little zip ties to fasten the light tubes to actually already existing lights hanging from the ceiling. The light coming from the gym wasn't bad, but it was just too spread out. And so I wanted the lighting to feel a little more dramatic. And so putting these tubes up helped it feel more sourcey, like it was coming from a smaller source, which, casts more shadows. It makes things feel more dramatic. And so it was a lot of work for minimal difference, but to me, it looked different enough to put in the extra mile to go ahead and put these up there and try something different. If there's not a constant fear of death,
you're not doing it right.
You're not doing it right. Just low budget as hell. No, I'm gonna have to turn the brightness up. But now that I have 4 of them, that I'm able to, it's nice because I can spread the action out, whereas when I only had 2 of them, I kind of had to stay contained under the 2 lights, but now I have 4, so I can move Luke, the talent, around a little bit more. I just have that flexibility. Okay, so they are all at 6100 Kelvin at 100%, and we've created some honestly some pretty good top-down lighting, I think. It's similar to the lighting that would already be here, but it's not as spread out, so it's a little more dramatic. But it still has that gym ambiance feel. So now Luke's warming up, so we're gonna get rolling. Once the lights were set up, we just rolled. I had a loose storyboard for this scene, but at this point, I had shot fitness content for the last 3 years, so I kind of already had an idea of what I wanted. So we had Luke build to a heavy clean and jerk to start, just to get some shots of him lifting. Your thruster.
Wait, I mean, power snatch is gonna be cool.
Okay.
What do you think? Thruster.
I mean, I've never used thruster in a video, to be fair.
Let's do thrusters.
Okay. Then for the workout scene, we actually both made up a workout on the spot. And I know that's probably not common, but for me, I prefer documenting over producing. That's just my style of filmmaking that I've kind of cultivated over the last 3 years. I would much rather document someone doing what they do than tell them, hey, do 3 reps of this movement. Okay, pause. Now I'm gonna get a tighter shot. Now 3 more reps. Okay, now let's move on to the next movement. 3 more reps. That to me doesn't feel as authentic and genuine, and you might be able to make it look good in the edit, but I would prefer straight out of camera to get something more authentic. So we just made up a workout of movements that we wanted to film, and I told him to go for it. So he would do a whole round of bike, muscle up, GHDs, thruster, and I would just follow him. And that way I got natural camera movement, motion blur from the whip pan transitions, and then I actually got authentic breathing, him getting out of breath and him getting somewhat tired and him resting between rounds as the scene was already lit and looked good. So you're the only one that I know will do this. So, because I want to sell you being like, my CNS is fried. You're in the interview, you're talking like every day is a mental battle and it's a struggle. At the end, we did fake some things. I told him to go 10 out of 10 effort on the bike, and he sold that. He's great doing that. He's always down for content, so that was fun. So I want you to, it's like last round.
Water on my back?
Huh? No, you're glistening already.
All right, because I can just roll on the ground.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So I want you to like burn it down for 10 seconds,
yeah,
and then like just collapse,
yeah,
like you would after an open workout, Go ahead, so we can multitask. I'm gonna have you black out the windows in there. Is that good? Then I wanted some footage of him recovering. In our interview, Luke talked about just the day-to-day struggles of being an athlete, just the toll that it takes on his body. It was also a great opportunity to place more first form product in, just because so much of supplementation revolves around recovery and how quickly you can bounce back to train again. So the first scene, we had him get in the plunge, and again, I used my Lume Cube light tube set to the blue setting. And we really had to be quick with this because the cold tub was like 36 degrees, I think. And so we couldn't have Luke just chilling in there for like, 15 minutes. Like, it can get dangerous if you don't do it quickly. You're gonna submerge, I'm gonna say action, you're gonna submerge, come down, and then you're gonna come up. So we got those extremely quick, moved out to the sauna. We had to black out the sauna. The sauna had windows. Brendan actually had to climb up on the top and sit on the sauna on top of the moving blankets because, again, it was so windy that the blankets would just fly off. And then I went inside, set up the Lume Cube light tube to the red setting. If you haven't noticed by now, red for hot, blue for cold, pretty smart. And I only, again, had like 3 minutes to film a few shots because the sauna, even though it was only, I think it was only 140 degrees, but it was still hot enough to make my FX3 overheat. So thankfully I got the shots and before it overheated, but it turned out good and we got all the shots we needed. The top with one hand and kind of squeeze it. Perfect. What do you say, firmly grasp it? Okay, so then the final scene, running up the mountain. So Cookeville has this really cool stretch of road near the gym called Pfeiffer Mountain. It's not an actual mountain, but it's this really aesthetic road winding up this hill. And I'd shot many things throughout my time with Mayhem in this location, so I knew it would be perfect for this final scene. And we actually timed the day perfectly. We showed up an hour before sunset, so the lighting was just perfect. This is very uncomfy. So we just ran Luke up and down this hill a couple times until we got to the top. Bro is a champ, and of course he's very fit, so it was a non-factor for him. When you get to this cone, right, or this sign, you'll stop, deep breaths, take off your glasses, heavy breathing. Is that good? Okay.
Done?
It's a wrap. Look at us. Who would have thought?
All right, let's go shoot a squirrel.
So that was a wrap on the shooting. For the edit, I already had a song selected from Music Bed, just something tense and somber, not too distracting. And then of course, added some sound design. And now I'm gonna go ahead and play the final result.
Why do I even get up and get out of bed? Anything in life, if you want to be good, you need to be consistent. I'm trying to be the best version of myself, and that's just what I'm trying to do every day. My name's Luke Parker, and I'm a CrossFit Games athlete. Physical toll training. Yeah, it's tough some days. There's adversity in the body and the mind. You're literally pushing your body to its limit, and then resting, recovering, and doing it all over again. I look at it as making deposits every day. At the end of the day, I'm working hard to cash in, right? To make my deposits. And hey, rent's due every day. No one's just gonna come up and do the work for me. I need to be the tip of the spear and be ready to go. We do the work.
Okay, thanks for watching the behind the scenes of this spec piece. I hope you learned something. I want to do more of these. I really like giving you guys an in-depth look into my creative process, even if it only makes sense to me. So stay tuned, and we'll see you in the next one. And action. So close. Good thing I'm not that heavy now.
How much you weighing is this?
190? I feel like that's pretty respectable.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I'm a big boy now.
You weigh about as much as me, bro.
And I'm weak as hell.
I'm like 2.
Alright, that's good.